down Liquid earlier this week. FlyQuest not quite the same level of impressive play, but we'll see if they can redeem themselves here.
And it's actually a really interesting story that could only happen with LCS being 3 days a week, because they have the same shared opponent so far before playing each other. So it's really easy to kind of, in your mind, do a little ranking of how good they look. Dignitas beat Team Liquid, and FlyQuest got absolutely demolished. So that's what they talked about along the desk, how Dignitas come into this as a favorite, but you never know in League of Legends. You never know what adjustments would have been made and what FlyQuest can try and answer back.
Well, Dignitas is going to go ahead. It's tax season. They're paying the Riven tax right about now, making sure that doesn't go into the top lane there for FlyQuest. Also banning out the Akali. I'm running out of clever jokes to make about that. It's banned every game. Blitzcrank banned out by Dignitas as Tom Kinch, Elise, and Lucian are taken out. And there you go. It's Rumble picked for FlyQuest.
The Rumble first pick. And FlyQuest can do this because it's a flex pick.
Yes.
If this was just a top lane Rumble, you betcha Huni would have a counter pick ready that he'd be comfortable smashing Rumble with. But because it is flexible, they're going to be a little bit more okay locking it in.
And I also like the fact that it's a denial pick along with the flex potential, considering this is one of the champions we've seen Huni pop off most on in the past.
Yeah.
You keep it out of the hands of Dignitas, you get it in your own lineup, and it looks like Dig are going to respond with a couple of power picks of their own. The boss already locked in, Sett there in the top lane, and we'll see whether or not they want to go ahead and lock in that Aphelios. He's been doing a lot of work lately.
He really has. With Senna open, you wouldn't be too surprised to see WildTurtle match with that. I'm hoping that we see Huni play this set, even though I think it can actually be played in the jungle in the right circumstances, because so much of Sett, from what we've observed, is he is a kiteable champion, but he's an incredibly strong frontliner, and he's really good when the other team tries to dive on top of him.
The essence of a jugger.
Exactly, and we've also seen, as the Senna gets locked in and Aatrox is likely going top lane now, we've also seen a few creative uses of Sett to find good flanking engages. Why I'm interested to see Huni on it is he's a player who can be so aggressive, you'll have no choice but to hit him. And that's where Sett's kit will actually be the strongest, so I want to really observe how Huni positions himself on the map and in teamfights so he can get off the biggest haymaker possible.
Well, we're going to have Thresh also locked in here for Dignitas before the second part of the bans come through. Those picks will not be mirrored, as we talked about earlier this week. It appears like frequently these days the first half of the draft does get mirrored with roles from each side. Will not be the case here this time around. We'll see how that affects the second half of the bans as Syndra and Nautilus are removed.
Absolutely. I wish I knew the name of the guy. Someone tweeted me today about like draft order because I was making points about Sven and how C9 has prioritized them more in draft. Across the league, though, marksmen are almost always getting picked first rotation. Even this, with Aphelios being second and Senna being third, is a little bit later than average for what your AD carries are locking in. But yeah, absolutely. You're going to lock them in before the first phase because at the moment it is clear cut. Those are the two top ones, and there's enough power pick bans that people are willing to just make that trade.
Right, when the pool is so tiny at the very top, but it's not so much so that they get banned out in that first wave, the trade is so often the play. You take that one, I'll take this one. It's a gentleman's agreement, a handshake in the draft to say we'll both take one of them, spin the bans on something else instead. Orianna and Leona are going to be those second bans, so it's two support bans coming out from Dig, two mid lane bans from FlyQuest, targeting those roles that they've already locked in, but their opponents haven't.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see what Froggen has left to go up against this Rumble mid. FlyQuest getting to just basically target out Froggen, say these are the two no thank you champions. Victor would be something that would scale well into the late game, but would definitely lose a ton of push early and would really hurt their ability to go for early Rift Heralds or early Drakes. So with the way Dignitas is playing, the more I'm thinking about it now, that Rumble pick could provide a lot of problems. Top of mind, I don't have a pick that Froggen should do, but we'll see what he ends up locking in.
Well, it's already going to be Jarvan locked in here for FlyQuest. We saw them hovering over the Rex side, thinking about it for a moment. Is a pretty traditional counter to the Lee Sin, but hasn't been seeing a lot of great success lately, even in the counter matchup. So just going into the Jarvan for something that's more generally powerful. See if Morgana is the choice here. Very effective black shields against the hooks coming out from Thresh, but nope. It'll be Alistar for some engage and some disengage. Some turret dive potential, too.
Yeah, I love watching Alistar. I love playing Alistar. You basically shouldn't if Nautilus or Leona are up. So that's why I'm okay with IgNar picking it here. Because they clearly target banned out the more powerful tank supports, but I still think there's a lot of stuff you can do with Alistar, particularly in the roaming game. So I think directly in 2v2s against Thresh Aphelios, it's actually going to be a little bit of a rough lane. But as they mentioned on the analyst desk, if they can unlock him, he can be incredibly effective, like the mid lane ganking of Alistar, being able to actually headbutt someone backwards, some of the most powerful in the game from the support position.
I'm having flashbacks to Season 1 where Alistar builds Heart of Gold and Philosopher's Stone, never levels past 3 and just runs back and forth between lanes for the entirety of the game. The old school times, but speaking of time, we're going to lock in the boy who shattered it. Ekko picked up for Dignitas and Froggen in particular here. This champion has been pretty crazy recently. He's been seeing a lot of play in the jungle, but also still mid lane. And the cooldown on the ulti gets insanely low after he builds some cooldown reduction and gets some levels, so there's a lot of outplay potential.
It gets low enough that you should actually use it for recall. Like, you go back to base, you buy all your items in under 3 seconds, then you all back to where you recalled from.
Yep.
Is a good strat for that. In terms of, like, I was wondering what Froggen is going to play, this at least has a lot of tempo. So I don't think it's necessarily a pick where he'll be going for solo kills. He will be able to get kills with gank assist, but it's like Rumble shoves in so fast, you need something that can try and keep up, and a teleport Ekko, who has multiple ways back into the lane and good wave clear, I think is a strong choice.
And an interesting thing about Froggen, something that I've enjoyed seeing in the conversations online between the fans about this Dignitas that has shown up really good so far in their first 3 games. Even the longtime Froggen fans, it seems like the thing they're excited the most about isn't just, hey man, Froggen's popping off. It's Froggen's popping off, and he looks like he's got a team around him in all these other positions for what a lot of people are saying is the first time ever. And that's what's really exciting, is to see what can happen when Froggen isn't the man bearing all the weight on his shoulders.
For sure. I mean, Dignitas talked about building this team around Huni. It was Hunitas for a little bit during the offseason, but it is a great opportunity for Froggen this year. While he can still be a star player, he won MasterCard Player of the Week in Week 1. The fact that Huni was actually like the star piece and Froggen can just kind of do his stuff, I think unlocks a lot of potential for him.
It just relieves some of that pressure, lets you do you. Have a time of your life there in the mid lane, and we'll see if he can pop off here this time around. We're on to the Rift for FlyQuest versus Dignitas. 2-1 for FlyQuest, 3-0 for Dig. Only one other team in the league, 4-0. At the end of Week 2, and that is Cloud9, who everyone is saying seem to be the standout performer so far, along with Dig. So if Dig wants to keep that up, they need to take this win and keep that record clean.
Even just a week and 4/5 into the season.
A week and 4/5.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, you're correct. We've just never been in a position where we've used that metric before.
Looking at the slate of games we have on Monday Night League as they set up kind of defensive lines, the 3-0 Dig going to be undefeated against the 2-1 FlyQuest, and then the marquee COD TSM matchup being the 0-3-1-2.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that was going to happen coming into the year? For me, yes, this is a glass half full take. Don't flame me too much. It actually makes me happy in a sense that I can be very excited for both. We have Dignitas, a team that's been gone for a while, and some players that have been looking for LCS success have the chance to be that 4-0 team, like the new powerhouse team. And then TSM COG is always going to be entertaining for me, regardless of their record, because it is such a storied rivalry. So just kind of setting the stage for Monday Night League as a whole, I can't wait to see both games.
And Dig is super fun to follow too, I think, because after last year, after Clutch makes their run and gets to Worlds, and it's announced they're going to be rebranding after, and then we move into the new season, and a lot of the roster changes, and a lot of people were like, is this the right move?
The gank.
But we'll see if the gank happens here on the top side. Huni! Oh, man, he is exploded. Boss ain't doing nothing about that.
Oh, man. That was actually a really smart gank from Santorin. If we look at what he ended up doing, Huni, as Sett, always wants to play aggressive early. And the gank path that you're expecting, if bot lane pulls, which Huni knew they would have pulled because WildTurtle and IgNar started with red buff is you're saying, okay, the time for him to do red buff, blue buff, and Gromp and gank beat level 3 is this. So Huni thinks he has about 25 more seconds, hasn't warded yet, but hey, guess what? He's just gonna kill you. I don't even think he saw the flag until he was dead.
Yeah.
So just really good path from Santorin. He only lost about 10 to 15 seconds of overall efficiency to make that first blood happen.
Let's see if Grig can make something happen here in the mid lane in retaliation. PowerOfEvil does have the HP advantage for now. Grig and Froggen will chase him off to the side. This could quickly turn into a multi-man collapse from Dignitas. PowerOfEvil forced to flash away. Huni flashing after him, but Sett doesn't have a stun with the face breaker unless he pulls something else in.
Ooh, that was one of those plays from Huni where he's trying to do too much. Like he was a little bit embarrassed that the early game happened, so he tried to make a big play mid. Now he's lost more experience and been down his flash. The wave was pushing against him, so he didn't lose a huge amount of experience, but it still makes him even more vulnerable up in that top lane, now flashless and teleportless.
Unforced error.
I think so.
Yeah. Not something that Huni needed to do, but felt compelled as IgNar finds himself grabbed up here by the death sentence in the bottom side. Lots of CC coming in there, and Johnsun! This kid has been on everybody's radar these first couple of weeks, and he is popping off the thing.
That was slick by both Johnsun and Aphromoo, the way they layered CC. I'll go over that during the replay, but awesome to see the synergy of them going for the aggressive plays early on in laning phase as a teleport laner. So not only they got the solo kill against the combat summoner lane. When this game hits 8 minutes, or even just with how much pressure they gain from that, can't say no.
Really well done stuff here from Dig, getting themselves a kill in retaliation for that first blood FlyQuest had. Game's dead even. Froggen warding up the side of the lane here. Just going to be watching out to see if Santorin wants to get involved here in this mid lane. He has gone back to shop, does have the skirmisher Saber. Viper seems to be doing all right here in the top side up against Huni. Again, when you're playing against Sett, his mobility is incredibly limited, so you don't have to really feel like he's going to be able to jump on you and just kill him all on his own. You pretty much need to put yourself in a spot where he can make those sorts of moves, unless he gets a big flank like you were talking about. Yeah. But 1v1 in lane, a flank's not normally this good.
Yeah, definitely not. I think if Huni doesn't want to die in that lane, he's not gonna. I think he should, and I think the same is pretty true for Viper as well on Aatrox, so kind of expect them to split up, or sorry, split the farm in the lane, and then their impact will ultimately be felt in teamfights.
Johnsun will just keep farming up here on the Aphelios. Has the Gravitum. No level 6s online for anybody here across the Rift just yet. But Viper getting the better of Huni in this trade, stepping to the side of the Haymaker. He'll still take damage, but considering he's not in the center line, that means he will reduce it at least to physical instead of true. Viper's a guy where I'm particularly going to be keeping my eyes on because I feel like he had a lot of errors in the game against Team Liquid, trying to ult double if Aphelios, putting himself in a spot where he would just get 1v1. He's up against the champion again. I'm sure he's painfully aware of the lessons that he learned in the game earlier this week, and I really want to see how he plays.
Yeah, if Aphelios has the Healy gun and the white gun, you got to stay away from being really melee with them, is one of the lessons. But watching this early lane, so we know the pressure created by Johnsun and Aphromoo is what's actually unlocking Grig to do this 6-minute Ocean Drake right now, and the timing is particularly good for them right now. So notice how Johnsun still has his teleport. This means they can take the Ocean Drake, they can shove in another wave, they can go back to base and run for Rift, and basically, if WildTurtle matches the Rift play, they'll get first dibs on bottom lane. I was talking with Probably earlier, like, if 8-minute Rift Herald is going to be the meta, then teams should just be taking teleport 80 carries. The fact that Dignitas is the team that's starting to set the 8-minute Rift Herald meta just makes sense that they're also already bringing teleport.
Easy to prepare for the strategy that you're molding, that you're crafting, that you're introducing. You're the one who has all that knowledge into it. Gold still very close here between these sides. As PowerOfEvil and Froggen have the ultis turned on here in the mid lane. You can see PowerOfEvil just now ticking level 7 here on the Rumble. Sorcerer's Shoes rush for the extra magic penetration just to make sure that when he does find the damage with those flame spitters, it hits hard. Froggen taken solo, has to chrono break back as the equalizer comes down. Grig is nearby to prevent any kind of a dive, but Froggen definitely comes out worse for wear on that one.
He does, but they got the equalizer, which I think is really important with Rift Herald spawning in 30 seconds. So I want to track here if Johnsun can get this wave shoved out and if Dignitas try and go for Rift Herald play, because the thing that would stop them from going for Rift Herald play would be the fact that they don't want to do a river fight against a Rumble. With equalizer down, I think it becomes a lot more palatable.
Huni shoving out that top side as well here. You can see the wave building up, so Viper's going to have to respond to that one. He'll roam down into the river, set up some vision, potentially make way for the rest of the team to show up there. And you can see the On My Way ping coming out from FlyQuest. They recognize this could be the call here from Dignitas.
Yeah, so watch the minimap and watch Aphromoo. He just recalled, he's heading towards Rift. IgNar's on the same page. But the interesting thing here is these two 80 carries, one has teleport, one doesn't. So even though IgNar's roaming up, there's going to be a numbers advantage for Dignitas when they get there.
Huni trying to scare PowerOfEvil away from this control war, but there's not a whole lot Sett can do about it when there's more players there on the opposing side. Just kind of has to sit there and watch that get taken out. Neither team wanting to commit towards that Rift Herald yet. There's still a lot of housekeeping to do, keeping track of the players from the other side, getting the vision set up, overcommitting to something here, putting yourself where you're vulnerable to your opponent's collapsing could be a nightmare here for either team. But it looks like Dignitas are going to say, okay, we've got the advantage in that TP like you were talking about, let's start it up.
Good play by Dignitas, and because there's no equalizer on Rumble yet, they don't really have an answer. Another thing that I actually really liked is that Johnsun hadn't shown. Now that he's shown bottom lane, they're thinking of a fight, but he can just teleport in.
The equalizer is ready now, though. Santorin's going to be the target here at the very start. Huni tanking up here in the middle. Showstopper's not going to find a whole lot. He's still got the Haymaker ready to go. Equalizer comes down. Damage going through. Froggen is gone. And Dignitas do not want this fight. Aphromoo down to 100 HP, and Viper's looking to take him out. PowerOfEvil grabs the kill, and Johnsun is alone behind enemy lines. He will not find anything this time, and that's a whole lot of kills for FlyQuest.
Woo, stand corrected there where FlyQuest couldn't do anything about it. They waited for the equalizer to come back up, and that was their moment to fight. And even though WildTurtle doesn't have a teleport like Johnsun does to match, he's got that R. He just hit everyone with his Senna Global, and they end up taking the fight convincingly. Let's watch this one more time. So it's like, did think they're pretty safe here, but it looked to me like the teleport from Johnsun was a little bit slow. So they're dumping a lot of damage on Santorin, but they're indecisive of whether or not they want to fight. And then once Grig goes in, they got to bail.
Well, back to live here. WildTurtle almost found himself collapsed on there in the mid lane. Did have to use the flash to get away, but importantly, it does get him out. Doesn't end up having to pay for that one with his life. But yeah, not only was Johnson's teleport a little bit slow, but he also had to put it in a spot where he felt safe and he wouldn't be just throwing himself into the maw of the waiting FlyQuest players. Then he had an extra hike down into that Rift Herald pit where the fight was happening, and it just was not there for Dig. And now FlyQuest with a 1,500 gold lead. It's PowerOfEvil and Santorin who are topping the charts in that gold count. Santorin 2-0-2 here on the Jarvan. Cinderhulk completed, stopwatch ready to go. He's in a great spot to start these fights.
For sure, and the first pick Rumble is also paying off very well. Look for Santorin to make those aggressive plays around the map, but also really watch where Huni goes, because he's the one with the eye. The ideal use of a Rift Herald before 14 minutes is to get about 2.5 plates yourself, then drop the Herald, since the charge does true damage for about half of a turret's overall health bar. That'll give you the first turret, but if they don't make a play beforehand, they're not going to get much use out of the Herald.
Second Drake spawning here in 5 seconds as well. FlyQuest have control over that bottom side river for now. Take a look at where all the ultis are. Senna ult not quite ready yet for WildTurtle. PowerOfEvil does have the equalizer. Cataclysm's up and running for Santorin too. Dignitas almost have everything ready to go, but still need a few more seconds on the kick from Grig. Huni will continue shoving up the top side here. Has a very slight CS advantage over his opponent, but honestly nothing to really write home about. This lane is breaking even.
Yeah. And I mean, just comparing the power of the mid-level laners right now, an Ignite equalizer, Sorcerer Shoes Rumble versus like a little pistol on an Ekko.
Magic pistol, man.
Magic pistol, the Hextech Revolver. There's no way they can go to River to contest this. So Santorin knows that, doesn't want to waste any time, gets that Mountain Drake locked up, and we got an Infernal Rift. Infernal
means more and more damage as the game goes on, and the potential of those extra procs if we get to the point where one of these teams gets Soul. Froggen continually on the back foot up against PowerOfEvil's Rumble, and I like seeing PowerOfEvil on this pick because he's slotted so hard by a lot of people into this control mages only playstyle. Rumble's not a 45-minute control mage. Rumble is an incredible team fighter in the mid game that can really take control over neutral fights and propel your team forward with objective play. And I want to watch PowerOfEvil, now that we're 13 minutes into this game, now that we're going to start getting into more of those big fights to see if he navigates it right.
That's a really good point. And Dig trying to make a play towards the top lane because PoE was bottom lane.
Well, they will use Shelly, but they're only going to grab the first couple of plates with it. They will not manage to shave those plates off with their champions first and get more value out of slamming Shelly into the high armor and MR, but hey, money in the pocket, money in the pocket.
Grig.
Well, Santorin's able to get him in the Cataclysm. Ignite goes down. There comes the WildTurtle ulti, but the damage going to be sidestepped. Grig trying to get out, but it is just hand-wrapped on a silver platter for Viper.
Oh, man, not many directions he could run away
No.
in that one. Really good patience by IgNar and Santorin, who Santorin is the guy who really feels like he's starting to take over this game with his positioning and the way he's initiating these fights, not even having to burn his stopwatch. Just catching Grig in transit there and gift-wrapping Viper a kill.
I wish I could remember off the top of my head which split it was, but one of the recent splits where it was Team Liquid and Cloud9 and I believe TSM that were our top 3 teams. And when it came down to the all LCS team voting at the end of the split, Santorin was the only player outside of those 3 teams to make an all LCS team.
I think that was 2019 Spring.
Yeah, I knew it was with one of the past 3 splits. But that is one thing that stands out to me about him as a player, is even if he's on a roster that doesn't particularly stand out to people as a whole, he's the kind of guy that can have those kinds of standout plays as an individual.
Yeah, and that was the split where FlyQuest actually made semifinals. So whenever you're talking, hopefully, about FlyQuest, you point back to that split. You say, hey, look what they did with this roster. They were good. You can say Summer was a misstep, but now they've found PowerOfEvil on this team. They've got IgNar as the support. Like, let's go do great things as FlyQuest. That's the sell for this team. And I think something that a lot of people don't realize about Santorin is how sacrificial he is willing to be for his team.
True team player.
He is very much a team player. Sometimes the correct team play is for Santorin to go try and kill everyone, and in those situations he will do that. But in other situations, the correct play is actually he sits in a brush while his mid laner pushes in the final wave. And that's something that'll actually set him behind the game, but he's very, very willing to do. So occasionally, he ends up looking worse than he actually is. That's my opinion on Santorin.
It goes back to that conversation where laners always say it's the jungler's fault, but junglers always say, I can't do it if my laners aren't helping me. Santorin's the kind of jungler that is fully willing to forego his own investment for the sake of those laners. He's practically the guy that's on their side saying, yes, it is my job to be here to facilitate you. And so far, it's got him 100% kill participation. It's got him in a really good spot here in this game, and it's got him a Rift Herald here, the second one of the game. See Huni and Viper continuing to trade down here in the bottom lane, but what we said earlier still reigns true. These guys aren't dying unless somebody else gets involved.
Yeah, for sure. And you could see Dignitas was hoping to get involved in the bottom lane, but Viper's playing fairly safe, conservative side lane and allowing the team to play through Rumble Jarvan because that's really what they need to get done. It's also going to be kind of fascinating to watch this as FlyQuest is 1 teleport against 3, but so much stronger in team fights. So I think actually the correct play for FlyQuest in a lot of situations is to try and force fights, which really means IgNar and Santorin have to find good playing positions.
Johnsun currently has the Reddit clip loadout with his gun, sniper rifle, plus the turret-creating ninja star throwing crescendum. So those are the 2 that can catch you off guard and find you sniped down from 3,000 range away. One of them about to expire here very soon, so that means he probably won't have that for the next fight. Neither one of these side seems especially bloodthirsty. But the Drake is spawning in 30 seconds, and the count is tied 1-1. We'll see if that's worth fighting over. Froggen goes for a trade against PowerOfEvil here. Honestly, I feel like so many times we see the first 2 Drakes go to the same team these days. But since they're split up 1-1, it actually takes away the compelling argument of we need to go for this because neither side really feels that close or far away from it.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think Dignitas could be in a little bit of a holding pattern. Like, we know Aphromoo is a player who can find a lot of picks, so if they do see WildTurtle, they'll go for him. But, like, all FlyQuest wants is for Dignitas to fight them. So, like, here's kind of a perfect example of what's happening is PowerOfEvil moved bot lane to lend support to that area, and since Froggen still has his teleport, he's able to get turret damage. So the Drake is whatever. It's 4% attack damage and ability power. It does move them one closer to soul point, but that's still 10 minutes away. Both teams ended up doing the correct thing there based on their summoner spells and team comps.
And now I want to see where that leads afterwards as FlyQuest is grouped up here in the mid lane. They've summoned up the Rift Herald. They're looking to take down the tier 1. With plates out of the way, it should be very doable. Santorin's going in, looking to make the dive. Equalizer down into the pit. There is your dunk bucket. And they're trying to make some Aphromoo soup. It's PowerOfEvil on a killing spree.
And the Senna can keep sustaining them after that fight, even though there was an attempted counter engage by Dignitas. Everyone's near full health again. I mean, they're considering continuing this push. They might go for an inhibitor.
So much damage comes out of this FlyQuest team in these mid-game team fights, man. Tier 3 turret, 20% HP left, and FlyQuest is just whittling it away. Huni and Froggen coming in from behind, looking for the flank. Viper's going to be following up here in a moment. Froggen's going to be denied. IgNar doing a good job making sure of that. Huni looking for a big haymaker, but only going to find PowerOfEvil there on the very back end. Huni taken very low, and PowerOfEvil's on a rampage. IgNar barely gets away from Froggen, and it's a 1-0 fight so far for the side of FlyQuest. What else can they get? Not Froggen. Ekko so very mobile, gets himself back out of trouble, but things have just gone FlyQuest's way non-stop for the past while now.
Yeah, FlyQuest is doing the right thing, and Dignitas is not able to keep up with the response. This is actually a very telling. I'm going to try and get the story in really quick. When you're the team that's behind, I was talking with Crawley earlier, it's really dangerous to be the one pushing sides because the team that's ahead is just going to dive you. So in this situation, Dignitas should not have been defending this turret. They should have been back, especially with the Rift Herald about to charge them. So they're set up for failure here. Then, after they've already had someone die, then they teleport in. So now they're set up in a 4v5 situation and don't actually have the tools to stop the other 5. The way it usually works is the team that's behind is the team that gets caught grouping, and the team that's ahead is the one that wants to play the sides. The weird thing about this game is the team that's ahead doesn't have teleports, and the team that's behind does. So they're still trying to play these sides, and you're seeing how easily FlyQuest can punish it. So again, Dig continue to try this fight, but they really just don't have the tools. Their teleports are down, they don't have playing position. FlyQuest still has 5 people alive, and they just continue to gain more damage.
And you saw from Huni's death there, I feel like between that and the attempted flash face breaker that we saw early on in the mid lane after he died for first blood at level 2, it seems like we're getting some of the classic Huni tilt. Because after he used the haymaker shield, that's not coming up for another 6 seconds. He had 20% HP. He had no business going anywhere but home, and they sent him there in a body bag.
Absolutely, and this is the Team Dignitas from behind, which we haven't seen so far this split. They looked very clean in 3-0 when they were ahead, finding aggressive plays, but what is looking like is the case here is when they're not in position to make aggressive plays, they're still going for it, and they're doing it into this very, very powerful Rumble. So, do have to credit FlyQuest in this case for kind of just, even without Teleport Rumble, like PoE has controlled this game along with Santorin. Every fight where he has Equalizer up is a fight they're going to win. And they're just going to continue to control these objectives, 1 minute, 20 seconds until that next Infernal.
And Rumble's build is pretty much exactly where it would want to be. Double spell penetration items, Liandry's Torment, all completed around 21 minutes. Morellonomicon is also picked up here to help deal with some of the healing that could be coming out from Froggen's ultimate. I know there's a lot of discussion these days on Twitter about whether or not Morellonomicon should be built in each individual game. We'll leave that up to everyone to form their opinions, but it will provide some extra damage, some extra healing negation power, as that Infernal Drake is up in 45 seconds. This one would put FlyQuest on soul point, and they feel completely comfortable stepping up into Dignitas territory, controlling that area, putting down wards, stealing away the blue buff, as Viper finds himself in a 1v3, but he won't find himself there for long. Easy pick up there for Dig. Will they be able to put themselves down to the bottom side river in time for the Drake, or do they just say, no, we're not worried, and take the tier 2?
I don't know if they even try, because we got a 10-second desync between the Infernal Drake and Viper's timer, so he'd be able to teleport in, and Dig would just get caught in another team fight. For Dignitas to come back in this game, they need to not team fight as much as possible. So it's on FlyQuest to group either around mid or around objectives and win those groupings. Now they're just trying to chase Dignitas up in the top lane. Infernal's actually temporarily forgotten.
Froggen doing a good job zoning everybody away. He knows he's on a champion that is incredibly difficult to lock down and actually pick off. He provides an escape route for the rest of his team in the Lee Sin and the Thresh to make sure that they don't get collapsed on by FlyQuest. So Fly won't get any sort of return kill, but they do have control over this bottom side river with Turtle, Santorin, and PowerOfEvil marching down there. This is surely their dream.
Yeah, absolutely. Soul check-in, WildTurtle's at 38, so he'll get 40 off of this dragon because it's going to drop. 40 is a great breakpoint for 80 carry Senna, giving him a little bit of that extra range. At this point, he's going to be, I believe, outranging Aphelios, which is pretty important come later fights. So just continuing to power up. Like, let's see how well they can play around Baron, because there's a real chance that the game stalls out for at least the next 5 minutes. The Senna team is so bad at taking Baron. They've already taken mid lane down to the inhibitor, and Dignitas just needs to not get engaged on while they're exposed mid lane.
Exact numbers, 40 is where Senna hits 650 base range, so she's now equal to a Caitlyn, which is also equal to Aphelios with Calibrum, but none of his other guns.
Yep, good call.
So, although it may still be possible for Johnsun to fight him on equally ranged footing, it will be difficult and very dependent on having that sniper rifle ready to go. You can see in Turtle's inventory, he's got the Duskblade, second Dirk also there, stacking up that lethality, Muramana fully charged. The Senna will be very powerful in this upcoming fight. Stoneplate also done for Santorin. First big item after the jungle item completion. That means he'll be so tanky when he initiates these fights and traps everybody in that Cataclysm wave.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tanky dive if you consider the Alistar, Jarvan, and Aatrox to go in. And if in a game like this where one team has a moderate edge over the other, a lot of times I'll say, like, what does the losing team need to do to come back?
Right.
Like, if Dig comes back in this game, a lot of it would be a Johnsun carry. Once he gets Runans, there's enough melee divers that he would have the potential to carry a fight, since those melee divers are not extremely high in damage. So that's going to be the tricky thing to see if Dignitas can stall out until he hits those items.
You heard him, Dignitas fans. Keep your eyes on Johnsun, as Froggen will use the chrono break here on the top side, looking to buy himself a little bit of extra time, but the equalizer comes down. Stasis goes through, and PowerOfEvil is unstoppable. With Grig out of the way, Huni's trying to find one in return. He gets a shutdown. His own stopwatch going to be used here now. Aphromoo with the lantern to bring him to safety. Death Sentence finds its way onto PoE. A nice haymaker going to follow that one up. Johnsun is now caught out, and there is no way to do the damage when you're dead like that. Froggen TP's back in, but it's not in time to do much of anything. FlyQuest take the fight.
Oh man, Johnsun died fast right there. Viper just absolutely obliterated him at the end of that fight. The silver lining is the fact that Dignitas got a shutdown kill, but that's the type of stuff FlyQuest wants to have happen. They got a 5v5 fight around an objective. They were able to get a lot of equalizer damage down, win the fight, extend their goal.
That was also the stopwatches from both Froggen and Huni, so you won't see another one of those from Huni throughout the game. Froggen needed to upgrade to Zonius to get another. Let's take another look at how it started.
Yeah, this all started with Aatrox in the bottom lane as well, so FlyQuest ends up teleporting into this. Froggen does get a lot of damage down, but I think the Stoneplate definitely baits Grig pretty hard into thinking it's going to be a quick kill on Santorin. And even though Huni can finish off the kill with the Haymaker, by that point, like, look at the actual position of the fight. IgNar gets Johnson's flash early. Froggen's out of the fight. Like, where is their damage actually going to come from as Johnsun tries to step up? Viper just obliterates him because there's nothing to peel for Johnsun in that scenario.
FlyQuest continuing to maintain their lead here, 4,000 gold up. And with that 4,000 gold, they command enough of a lead that Dignitas must be very respectful here in about 70 seconds when that Drake spawns. You have to choose. Do you fight a mid-game team fighting comp in the middle of the game at a team fight objective, or do you surrender the Infernal Soul, which could just be that amount of damage they need to always be able to blow Aphelios up?
It's one of those scenarios with no good answer, which is always tough to realize when you're the team. So, I mean, Dignitas is going to go for a fight because they saw Rumble pop with no TP, but it didn't work. Froggen did not get the execution.
Froggen does have the Zonia's Hourglass, uses it to buy himself enough time to allow Aphromoo to provide the escape, but now Johnson's jumped on. There is no way out. FlyQuest have already found one, and it's the most valuable target on Dignitas. Looking to find even more as they chase after Aphromoo. Box drop down to buy a little bit more time, but not today, sir. Viper takes him out, and that's 2 for 0. FlyQuest is making this look easy.
Yeah, their teamwork has been on point here. WildTurtle assisting from long range, but more so just like the power of this Rumble Jarvan combo on top of... Don't get to see that one. That was... Well, I kind of like to see it, but we didn't have to.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we know the story. Grig got hit, he died. There we go.
He went poof. And now the Infernal Drake's gonna do the same thing, and with Infernal Soul now in their loadout as well, FlyQuest is scarier than ever. This team now has all the tankiness, all the damage, all the lead. This game is theirs to lose.
Yeah, Infernal Soul, that never goes away. Baron's still there. And again, Dignitas has fallen behind with a 1-3-1 composition, so they have very limited options. Not that they're playing this one perfect by any means, but FlyQuest is playing so well as a team. Like, Stoneplate Jarvan just initiating without regard for his own life, because he knows he's completely fine. He knows he's got the Stoneplate and the damage can't be retaliated. So they're picking on the flashless Aphelios over and over again. Easy to chase down Aphromoo. Let's see this Grig play. A little bit of desperation when you're trying to go for the Drake Soul. And yeah, I think WildTurtle
just shot him 3 times.
That'll happen.
That was about it.
That'll happen.
No more, no less. 3 shots. You're out of there. FlyQuest onto the Baron now. Dignitas really just don't want anything to do with this. They know there's no way they can contest a fight. Grig might try for a Miracle Steal. Sonic Wave looking to go in, but he'll be blown up before he ever gets the chance. Santorin buying some time. He's not in the pit. Froggen could try to make some sort of a steal happen. Huni goes in. Could this be the haymaker? It is taken by Dignitas. You have got to be kidding me. FlyQuest, they lose the Baron. They trade 2 for 1, but that is not worth it. You don't want to be giving those away.
Come on, FlyQuest, come on! You got the Santorin smite, and there's no way Grig survives to make his way into the pit. So if you're gonna hop over with somebody else and keep your smite alive, because let's watch this one more time. Baron at 3K, Viper and IgNar already got this under control. Like, they're gonna stop him. Santorin jumps over the pit. Actually, Grig kicking him further back is good. Johnsun finishes him off. But anyway, oh crap, like there's no one with smite here. Huni and Froggen both just kind of go in terrible equalizer by PoE. He was trying to kill Froggen, but really should have just laid it down in the pit. And then, oh my goodness, Froggen gets it with Lit Bane auto attack.
And it was an 87 health, so you could have breathed on it or just looked at it the wrong way and it would have died. A support auto attack probably would have been able to take it out as long as you didn't have the debuff, but
yeah.
That's tragedy there for FlyQuest. Everything was going so good. Things were looking clean there for a while, and now they got to deal with the fact that Dignitas has Baron for about 90 more seconds. Of course, the Baron power play is not going to look too impressive. They won't really have a chance to do anything with it, but it will buy them time.
Yeah, I mean, they can't win team fights.
No.
And they can't necessarily make stuff happen in side lanes because none of their side laners can win 1v1s. So, yeah, they got the Baron.
Yeah, that's it.
In terms of like what are they going to be able to do with it, I don't think they're going to be able to do much. WildTurtle's at 75 souls, going on 80. FlyQuest can just keep doing this. It just might take a little bit longer.
Santorin continuing to lead the charge there on the front lines. Tier 2 turret going to fall. Huni trying to run at FlyQuest, but as they kite back, it's very difficult for Sett to make a lot happen. Froggen dealing with IgNar off to the side. Santorin also going to be keeping them away as Aphromoo melts away. The Guardian Angel going to proc there. Huni will be kept alive only a moment longer, and now he's gone too. 2 for 0 for the side of FlyQuest. And IgNar's just doing a great job being a distraction. He kept Froggen out of the fight. Froggen looks to at least try to get something in return. He chrono breaks back, but now he doesn't have it any longer. He'll buy as much time as humanly possible with that stasis, but Turtle, he times it right, and the Dawning Shadow takes the kill.
Did you see that equalizer damage on the top of the screen?
It's a bunch.
With Infernal Soul? Good Lord, that was... It basically just one-shot 2 people on Dignitas, as PoE went in there with all of his Magic Pen and his Infernal Soul. Whoa. We mentioned Dig couldn't win team fights. They tried anyway. This could probably be the final push.
I'd rather see them try than just go down sitting next to their fountain watching the entire base evaporate, but when you're this far behind, it's so difficult to make it happen. There's your damage. PowerOfEvil, legendary, just popping off this game. 9-0-4. Huni trying to frontline, trying to just give a moment's rest to Dignitas, but instead he'll give him yet another kill over to the side of FlyQuest. Plant some trees, baby. That one's for nature. FlyQuest, take Dig down.
And there is no reason to do anything but smile right now for FlyQuest because that was such a good bounce back game for them. We mentioned this week, both FlyQuest and Dig came in at 2-0 and had a shared opponent in Team Liquid. The fact that FlyQuest lost that game so handily and Dignitas had that very close win, everyone, you wouldn't find a soul that would say FlyQuest should be favored in this game over Dignitas.
No.
But they showed up on the day. The Rumble first pick, while a little bit peculiar, worked out great because they got to the Phase 2